Sharpie marker versus Posca pen. Welcome back, friends. Oh my goodness. So many of you, I've used this many times. If you've been on my channel for a while, you know that I like my marker. I get a lot of criticism about this. I get people that say it's going to fade. They have not faded yet. They say that it ruined their plate. Has never ruined my plate. I don't know what they're doing wrong, but it does not ruin the plate. This, on the other hand, I find causes stains on the plate that are really hard to get rid of. But if you stay till the end, I will show you how to get rid of them. But we're going to do a little test. We're going to do both of these, and we're going to compare, what happens when you use a Sharpie permanent marker on the plate and when you use a Posca acrylic paint pen. Wait till the end to find out which I prefer. So I didn't mention, but also in this video, we're also going to play with some new stencils that I have and masks. And we're going to overlay, and we're just going to have a fun session. It's going to include different types of techniques, including my subtractive method, which is one of my favorites. And we're going to do that with both the markers and with the overlaying of the masks. So anyway, let's get to it. Let's stop talking. Okay. So our plate is somewhat clean. This is one of my new stencils, and this is a set of masks. So I wanted them to sort of be the opposite. These are very curvy, and these are very linear. The other thing I wanted to do in this video, besides introduce my new stencils, is show you the difference between these two and on the plate. And hopefully, I've already messed up my other plate, and I will, at the end of this video, if you really want to see if your plate is a total mess after you're done and your marker is not coming off, I'm going to show you how to clean it. So stay tuned to the end. So we're just going to do like comparisons. So this is the Sharpie Magnum permanent marker. Now that might scare you, and I've had people say it totally ruined my plate. I find that hard to believe because you can almost never ruin these plates, in my opinion. They always will come clean eventually, and you can use baby oil to do that. Okay, so on this side we did the permanent marker. On this one is the PC 17K, and it's the Posca. Nice chisel point, about the same size as you can see. The equivalent, but this is acrylic paint, where this is marker. This is already dry. This is still wet. So patience is needed, of which I don't have any. But let's let it dry, and then I'm gonna use this anyway. And we're going to pick up some of it because we did something very boring. So maybe this will make it a little bit more interesting if we can pick up some of that through the stencil. So I'll be right back as soon as this dries. Might take a couple minutes. Okay, this is still wet and I'm losing my patience. I thought I would give this a try. Oh my goodness. Somebody's doing construction here. I don't know how much of that is going to show, but I got a very light indentation from this, this is a needlepoint thing that I love because it makes great marks on the plate. Anyway, it's still a tiny bit wet. Tiny bit. All right, so we're going to lay down yellow on this side. It's Indian yellow and quinacridone red. My red paint is thicker than my yellow. I add additives to this Nova Color paint to make it last a little longer. Okay, notice how that bled. So the acrylic paint that I put on top reactivated the acrylic paint in the marker. Acrylic pens, acrylic markers, what do they call them? Okay, so this time I'm going to use so the reason why I'm using deli is it's nice and thin, and I can really get a sharp, and get right in there and get a sharp edge. With thicker papers, that's almost impossible. I'm going to leave this a little longer than I normally do because I want to pick up the marker that's in between, leaving me only the marker that was in the lines. That will make it a little bit more interesting, I think, than these boring lines that I just drew. So let's see. We're probably not going to get a 100% clean. Well, I take that back at least. All right. Yeah, I kind of got it. Even this paper's kind of fun. So now you'll see we got something more interesting than just those boring lines that I drew. And if you could see underneath, we got something interesting. So now, I think I might just pick this up as is, but then we'll do something with these masks and maybe combination with the stencil. Well, we might start with a ghost of this. But as you could see, they both pick up well. So this one was the Posca, and this was the marker. And a comment was made that markers fade where Posca pens do not. But the truth of the matter is, this is encased in acrylic now. I've had prints that from 3 years ago that have not faded, especially if I use it in collage and I'm now putting gel medium on top of it. It's probably okay. All right, so I was waiting for this layer to dry. This is Titan Buff. We're gonna just pick up with this. You know what, we might add a touch of yellow. See if we can get a buttery yellow color instead of plain old. Now see, again, this is the difference between the marker. The marker was on this side. It is not reactivating. Look at the Posca marker. It is reactivating. All right, so now we're going to pick this up. This is rice paper. I will put the papers, links to the papers in the description. For those of you watching on TV, the description, you'll have to go to a website to see, or your phone. I also watch on TV. I notice that my viewership is mostly watching on television. Doesn't surprise me. I'm also doing the same thing. But what I do is I turn on my phone, my YouTube, while I'm watching the YouTube on the TV, and it connects. it asks me if I want to connect, and I connect. That way anything I'm watching on the television is also on my phone, and if they mention something and I want to see the link in the description, I have it. This feels dry already, so let's go for it. Okay, now this is leaving residue on the plate. And this is not. This is the marker. The marker did not leave any residue. Posca did. And see how we have this very light ghost that was actually picked up here. But enough of it stayed that it's still printed. We got a much cleaner result from the marker. So I'm still in love with the marker. Look at how nice and black it looks. It's encased in acrylic paint now. I'm not worried about it fading. That was a good experiment, and I do like this paper. This is kind of interesting what happened here, this bleeding that happened. But if I'm going for this result, then this is a disappointment. All right, so let's start with a ghost of this. And I want a nice dark ghost. So I'm going to start with Payne's Gray. Now, I like Payne's Gray better than the black because the black also, the carbon black reactivates a lot as well. And sometimes you end up with really muddy looking prints. Now let's pick up with Deli again because I'm going for the ghost and I just want a nice ghost with a fairly clean background. Getting around all the edges, getting a nice sharp, trying to get a sharp edge. And look at that gorgeous ghost. Okay, so we are going to wait for this to dry. And so I might do the same subtractive thing with this. Maybe not. Maybe I'll pick something. All right, let's do something a little bit different. Let's do this one. We should end up with something really interesting with this. So it's going to break up all these designs, this big mask, and it's going to break it up with all these more intricate lines on the next layer. I'll be right back. We're going to wait for this to dry. Okay, changing my mind as usual. I'm going to put this on this side and this one on the other side. And we're going to use some teal. That's fun. So if we look at this from here, we have some teal, and we've broken up some of that Payne's gray. So that's a lot of fun. All right, so I'm going to wait for this layer to dry. So we're doing multiple layers with a single pull. So I am going to make this more complex. In my next layer, I'm going to add texture. So instead of doing a stencil, we're going to add texture. We're going to use this. So we're going to first let this dry. Then we're going to put down another color, which I haven't decided yet. I'm thinking maybe 2 colors. So, you know, deciding your colors is your hardest thing. So I'm afraid that this color, in terms of, you know, the tonal value, might be too similar to the turquoise, which means the turquoise won't show up nice and bright. The yellow is going to turn that turquoise more green. If I went with this yellow, Indian yellow. But maybe for fun, look at this stencil. The other side is purple. Look at that nice purple. So let's see, I think that is this. So this is quinacridone purple. I think we're dry enough. Okay, pretty color. Ooh, yeah. So, without thinking through that too clearly, if I lay this down as my final, this beautiful purple will turn kind of like muddy. So I'm not going to use this to pick it up. And I think I'm just going to pick it up with a nice titanium white so that we see this grid through the purple. But we have to wait for this to dry. Still feels a little bit tacky, but we're gonna go for it anyway. Oh. Well, that might not have been a good idea. So my brayer was actually pulling some of that beautiful paint off the plate. So I hope this is not ruined. So that's the price you pay when you're doing, what is this, like the 4th layer? This is the most important layer because this is the wet layer that's going to pull up all of the dry layers. But my brayer, when it touched areas that didn't have the paint, now to solve that I could add another smaller plate off on the side that I could have made sure that my brayer was covered with wet paint before I laid it on top of the dry. This doesn't always happen though. I don't know why it happened this time. Anyway, let's just go for it. We lost some paint around the edges, but actually See, this is where it was sticking and it pulled, but that's kind of fun. And I think this it pulled here too. But look at that. Interesting. So see how the subtractive method works. Like you lay down that first ghost, which was the full, you know, it looked like this. But when we put the second layer down and we pulled from within the stencil, it subtracted from this design and it left us with another design. And it left us with, you know, the teal. But third layer, we added our texture. The fourth layer was just our wet layer to pull. It would have been nice to just see some yellow through here, but you know that this is a transparent quinacridone purple. So you mix that with this and you get brown. They're kind of a pretty brown, but it's not like a brown, not like an ugly brown. It's like a purpley brown, but it's not what I was going for. So this is actually very pretty, and there's areas of this that will be very nice in a collage. All right, so I'm going to take these stencils and I'm going to overlay them. Let's just play with these two colors so you see what I'm talking about. We're going to start with, actually, we're going to start with the light color. We are going to we're going to do single layers and we're going to overlay. So I'm going to start with just a paper. We're just going to pick up this beautiful Indian yellow. I think I might tape down this edge. So this is like the poor man's registration. That's what I call it. You don't have the money to buy a registration tool. You can't figure out how to mock one up. All you need is some tape. Okay. We don't have a whole lot of wiggle room here, but I think it's okay. So we're covering quite a few things in this session, and that's fine. Okay, so I love how I had all this grunge on the plate, and I am picking it up. I even got some of that leftover Posca is coming up. We even have some teal. All right, we even got all the crusty bits off the edge except for this side. I always like those edges. All right, so now I might do a little bit of red on this side. And purple. This way you can really see this color interacts beautifully with the yellow. And this one, so let's put a little bit more. Okay. This rice paper is pretty thin. This is thinner than the Yasutomo sketch paper. I like it because I don't mind using it in collage, especially on a canvas. The Yasutomo paper is fine if you're collaging on wood, but I don't like it when you're collaging on canvas. Now see, that's the color I'm talking about. It's almost maroon, more of a maroonish. Okay, I'm going to get another piece of paper and pick this up. Too bad I didn't have one with a background. Let's find a background from a previous session. I have this gorgeous pick up from earlier, where I was just cleaning the plate. And that will be beautiful on top of that. I'm getting, it's like very pebbly looking. So I have no idea how it's going to pick up. It might actually be more interesting. Yeah, see, it picked up very pebbly as well. All right. It's interesting though, right? I am going to keep going. Since I got a little bit of teal here, I'm going to go for it with the teal. And we're going to leave this. I want to remind you very quickly that the Gel Summit is coming. So it's almost upon us, and I'm one of the instructors this year. I would love for you to join us. My section of the Gel Summit is a two-part section. So in the first part, I make gel prints for a specific collage, which happens to be a macaw in my mosaic pattern. Definitely in part two, I then walk you through making the macaw. I'll also include the reference material that you need to create the macaw, and all the materials are listed. So I really hope you'll join me. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait to see the other 13 artists and their sessions. I think they're all going to be fabulous. I'll have information below exactly when the early bird ends, so you can get it for $77. And then if you miss the early bird, I think it's $97. Okay, let's get back to work. Now this is very opaque. I think I was a little heavy-handed, but I do want it to be opaque, so that might be a good thing. So we're going to completely change it up because we're overlaying. Let's see, I'm going to put it wet side down. Now I could do a little bit of just a little bit of texture in spots. So I apologize for any of the construction noise that you're hearing, but I really wanted to keep this as more of a real time so that you could really understand the process. So that might also be good with this. I'm going to turn this around. So this yellow is like screaming at me here. So I want to break it up with something smaller pattern. Actually, this paper is exciting me. This one is not. So this is Payne's Gray again. I'm getting some of the teal from my brayer mixed in with it. So these are kind of wet still. I'm gonna break it up again. Oops. So I messed up here. Let's see if we can fix it. So I think this one's going to be the winner. I love the overlay of the same shapes. It's a little better. A little better. And this, I'm putting it on top of this one again. That's nice too, so we're going to pick that up. But look at how nice that is. Loving it. All right, I'm just going to pick this one up with Indian yellow, and hopefully it'll even smear a little bit because it's probably still a little wet. Yeah, so we'll get some nice green color here. I'll be working on something soon. That this is kind of one of the colors that I want to be looking for. So this is unusual in that the Payne's gray actually looks blue. A lot of times I find that it looks black, but that is usually when it is the first color down on the plate and you keep piling more colors on top of it and it starts to get very black. Well, let's see what color it looks here. This one might look black or a very dark green. We picked up all that teal that was left on the plate. Yeah, we got a lot of the teal, little bits of teal. I love it. So, yeah, like I said, I'm going to be working on something that is going to have a couple of papers similar to this color-wise. So I might be able to use this. I love this really pebbly texture that I was getting. And I think the way that happened was I used the deli paper to just clean up my plate with a lot of paint. And so it kind of puckered a little bit. And then we used that as a background, and we kept getting that puckering texture. But I love like this little line that we got right here. Kind of gives that three-dimensional quality to it. Like we got, I'm very happy with this. Okay, so that's it for today. I'm exhausted from my cruise, and this one's okay. This one's just okay. Let's get this in order. Okay, so in order to make this, we had to make these two, and you know, these are our bonus papers, fabulous papers in themselves. This could be a nice addition to a collage. This could be pieces of this could be a nice addition, but in order, it required those papers to create this one, and this was a 4-layer continuous print with a single pull. 4 layers, single pull. Now this one, we started with the markers, just 2 boring Posca marker, Sharpie marker. We picked up with this. This is kind of fun. Definitely can use this for sure. And then we were left with the ghost of that stencil. And we picked up with Titan Buff with a tiny little bit of Indian Yellow to give it a buttery color. And it did smear. The acrylic marker did not smear the Magnum Sharpie. So definitely, you know, give this technique a try. I love it. This is almost clean, but let me show you. This was happening earlier when I was trying to use the different Sharpies or the different Poscas. An absolute mess. It kept leaving paint on the plate, and it was just getting worse and worse and worse. So I stopped and decided to just do a simple demonstration, but I'm going to show you what happens. Now, this, in this case, was the Posca pen that left my plate, which looks ruined, especially since I've made 3 prints after this, and they all picked up this residue. So it feels like it's ruined, right? And this is a fairly new plate. I got this recently. It's only a couple weeks old. So we're going to put baby oil on this. We're going to leave it for a little bit, and then we're going to get this clean. And if we don't get it clean on the first try, we will get it clean on the second try. So let's move on to that. All right, so you could see we still have a lot left. And if I try to clean this with, let's say, Titan Buff or titanium white, it will still leave a faint. I'll have to do that like 6-7 times before it'll clean this completely. So here's a better way. So if you are one of those people that said that my plate got ruined with permanent marker, Magnum permanent marker, or any kind of permanent marker for that matter, try this. Now the permanent marker has never ruined my plate, but I did have a situation where I tried the Posca pens, I think it was last year, the real chunky kind, and it left a mess on my plate, and I kept trying to lift it with paint, and it was still a mess. So eventually I did this, and this is also a way to condition your plate. So I'm just putting a thin layer baby oil, and I'm going to let that sit. So as you can see, 15 minutes didn't work, so let's see what happens. So I lay down more baby oil and start over. Okay, this has been an hour and 15 minutes. I mean, you can see I'm getting off something, I don't know, but I still see some lines. I just wasn't putting enough elbow grease into it. Okay, it's coming clean now. So of course the other side of the plate still has some grunge on it, but this side is nice and clean now. If you take the time to do this, you can get your plate like new. Now if it's stained, you know, from alcohol inks and other types of products, then you're probably not going to get it back to this color. But it doesn't matter because it still works beautifully. You should be able to get years out of your plate. Okay. So now what I always like to do is store them between, I have copy paper on the bottom, I'm going to put copy paper on the top. It's going to absorb some of that baby oil, so I will have less lacing on the plate. If I wanted lacing, I would print right now, and I would get some gorgeous lacing, because I have a nice slick plate. But that's how you can clean it if you think you've ruined it. Okay, I'm sorry, but the Sharpie marker still wins for me, because when I pick up that layer, there's no residue. There's no residue on the plate at all. And I don't have to clean the plate afterwards. After the Posca pens, every single time I've tried this is the first time I'm actually making a video about it though, but I have tried it before. I end up having to clean the plate, like really, really clean it. So in my opinion, this is better. Now I will say, as far as the fading goes, keep this in mind. You're picking it up with acrylic paint, so it's now encased in acrylic paint. Then you take that paper and you glue it down onto a substrate of some kind, or another piece of paper, or a canvas, or whatever. And now you're putting gel medium on top of it. So I doubt it's going to fade. I really doubt it. I have not seen that happen yet. So that's my take on this. ChatGPT agrees with me. I actually asked ChatGPT. Anyway, leave a comment below if ChatGPT has changed your life. It has definitely changed mine. But anyway, instead of just Googling it, I go into ChatGPT and say, well, what do you think of this? Anyway, it's interesting sometimes. I'm not taking it as gospel, mind you, but my experience has been, and I've been using the markers for at least 3 years now. The papers have now faded. I'm using them in collage. The collages still look nice. Do I expect my paper collages to last 200-300 years? Probably not. I don't think anybody's going to care. I don't know where they're going to be by that time. But if I'm gluing it down on a canvas, like something like a big canvas, I'm putting so much gel medium and everything. And then varnish on top of that. I'm not worried. I'm really not worried. So, I would say, once again, give the Sharpie Magnum a try. If you are having problems, then maybe you're not leaving the paint on long enough with the paper. Maybe you're not letting the Sharpie marker dry completely before you put the paint on. I'm trying to think, maybe I use both. I have 2 different kinds of plates. I either have a gel press or I have the Jelly Arts plate. I only own those 2 brands. I have used this marker on both brands. I have not ruined either one. And even the one with the Posca marker, I thought at the time it was ruined. It was not. So anyway, leave a comment below if you are continuing to have trouble. I have no idea why. I would like to get to the bottom of it. I was thinking that maybe they were using another brand, cheaper brand from Temu or something. I'm still trying to figure it out. Why isn't this working for people? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the cleaning part, because that is a really good thing to know, because it really helps condition the plate as well. But just keep in mind that if you're going to use it that day, wait until after you've used it. Condition it with the baby oil, leave it with the paper for a couple of days, and then the plate will be good to go. So don't forget to create, inspire, and share, and I will see you next time. Take care.